The second phase of the Genshin Impact 2.4 update is coming soon as we know it, and of course the return of Big Dong Zhang and Coco Goat. Now we're talking about two of the most famous characters in the game, so of course there will be some confusion on who to choose between those two. So let's talk about Ganyu first. She's one of the strongest DPS in the game ever since her first release. With the right team comp, her damage output would be insane. She can either go for a melt or a freeze team comp. You can pair out with 4-star characters like Bennett, Xingqiu or Xiangling. Or if you feel expensive, you can slap her with Mona for that decent perma-freeze team comp, as her burst duration is kinda long, which makes damaging opponents even better. Not to forget, with the new release of Shenhe, Ganyu's potential to deal damage is boosted even higher. With Shenhe's Ascension talents, Ganyu can gain cryo damage bonus within the field and lowered cryo resistance on enemy created by Shenhe's burst, as well as gaining buffs from an elemental skill. She's also good for free-to-play players as she can still perform well with 4-star weapons like Prototype Crescent or Hama-Yumi. Do take note, as Prototype Crescent, it is limited only to enemies with weak spots such as Ruin Guards due to its passive. You could also use Very Decent Hun or Blackcliff Warbow, although they're not really popular choices. When it comes to 5-star weapons, Ammo's Bow is currently the best, but you can still give her Skyward Harp, Thundering Pulse, or Polo Star. The downside of having her is that she can be quite squishy, which is a bad thing if you can't dodge Master 69 your way through enemy attacks, unless you have a shield character like Diona, who is actually good for a freeze team comp. Not to mention, one of her strongest kit is a charge attack, so if some of you guys don't do well with bow users because of aiming reasons, then maybe it's not really a good idea to get her, especially for the mobile phone players. I don't know how you guys can keep up playing the game on your phone, but you have my respect. Now, Zhongli, everyone's favorite Geodaddy. For those of you who don't know, he had a rough start on his first release, but after some protests, MiHoYo decided to buff him, and he's now one of the best support in the game. Zhongli is well known for his strong shield, which also decreases elemental and physical resistance of enemies, thus dealing even more damage with your characters. Not to mention, his burst is a literal meteor with high damage output and petrifies enemies. If invested, his burst would deal as much damage dealt during the Archon War. He's also good for free-to-play players because, surprising enough, you can use 3-star weapon Black Tassel for shield support build, or if you're feeling a little bit more of a killer burst DPS Archon, you can slap him with 4-star weapons like Deathmatch, The Catch, Blackcliff Pull, or Favonius Lance. As for 5-star weapons, almost all of them can be used, although I would recommend using Staff of Homa, Primordial Jade Wing Spear, or the Vortex Vanquisher. Even his artifact builds are white, you can use Archaic Petra, Noblesse Oblige, Emblem of Severed Fate, or Tenacity of the Millilith, depending on your needs. Now, he may be a dope Archon and all, but sadly to say, he's already retired and is now just an old man whining about his osmanthus wine like every single time. Leave him alone for a few seconds and he'll just go,
"Osmanthus wine tastes the same as I remember."
Yes, we all get it, you miss drinking with your friends, but you gotta move on, old man. For those of you planning to build a team with double Geo, especially with him and Albedo, it can get risky as constant damage from the constructs can ruin elemental reaction, which lowers damage output. It all depends on the team comp. One last obvious thing is that MiHoYo is really putting in some tough baddies from here on now. With the new Rift Town enemies, Zhongli's shield only go as far as blocking their attacks, but not their corrosion effect. So in the end, your team would still take damage. Who knows how many more enemies like that are going to ruin shield characters in the game. When it comes to constellations, it's a question of whose constellation would benefit you more. For C1 Ganyu, her level 2 charge attack lowers enemies' resistance by 20%, which is beneficial for her to deal more damage from her icy attacks, whereas for C1 Zhongli, you can technically create 2 pillars instead of 1. C2 Ganyu gives her an additional charge for her E, which is good to attract a ton of enemies, whereas C2 Zhongli grants nearby teammates a shield when his burst is used, which is useful in co-op. Although it is useless if you don't have friends to play with and flex that C2 Zhongli unless you go beyond C2. C4 Ganyu lets her ult to deal more damage, which increases over time until it reaches a certain amount of percentage. C4 Zhongli increases his burst AoE and duration of petrification. Now for C6 Ganyu, using her E will allow her to use Frostblade Arrow without charging within 30 seconds. C6 Zhongli provides a shield with healing, when 40% of damage absorbed is converted to HP. Now, there is a lot of information being presented in this video, and you guys may be wondering who should you pull. Honestly, it all just depends on your situation. Do you have a decent team comp for the character you're pulling? Do you need a strong support because you're constantly facing death? Or do you need a strong DPS because you like damage dealing characters? Unless you're some really rich guy who can just spend money like it's nothing to get any characters you want with their constellation and weapons. Other than that, it's ultimately your decision to make. That is all for today's video. Hope you find it helpful. Be sure to leave a like, share, and subscribe. Do follow our social media page to stay up to date for any contents. Good luck in your pull. See you in the next video.